Hello and welcome to Life with Jane. So what are we going to do this week? It's Monday, so it's time for me to spend some time chatting with you and talking about all sorts of things that have been happening over the last few days and happening during the week. I think the big thing that happened was Storm Darragh. We have named storms now in the UK. And so they start at A and they end up wherever at the end of the alphabet, depending how many storms we have. And we're already on Storm Darragh, which is a D. We had Storm Berret and then Storm Connor, I think, or some other name. And Berret was quite bad, windy. I'm very lucky because I live in the southeast of England, inland. About 40 miles south of London and about 35 miles up from the coastline. So if you look at the UK and you look at the bottom of the UK, you've got sort of London and then you've got the coast, and I live sort of about there in the middle between the two. So I'm quite lucky. I don't get too bad storms and things, although this one has been pretty fierce. The winds have been pretty fierce. I've got a greenhouse down the garden, which I grow my tomatoes and peppers and things like that in the spring and summer. In fact, I'll show you when we get to being able to do gardening outside. I'm going to do some gardening and things with you, so you've got some nice ideas for planting and things like that. But I've Storm Berret, which was the last sort of biggest one for me, blew a couple of the panes out of the greenhouse. Now I'm quite lucky because a few years ago I lost maybe half a dozen glass panels, and my eldest son came round and put in some plastic sheeting, cut it to size exactly so it goes in, and it's acrylic sheeting. And so that goes in really well. However, when the wind's really strong, it blows from one end of the greenhouse through to the other and will occasionally pop one or two of them out. So if it does it during daylight hours, I have to rush down the garden, pick up the panel, stick it back in the greenhouse, and then when it stopped pouring with rain and the wind stopped, I can then stick it back into the into the clips. So fingers crossed at the moment that hasn't happened. And I'm doing this this video on the Sunday, so you'll get to see it on. No, I'm not. I'm doing it on Saturday. You'll get to see it on Monday. So I'm doing it actually in the middle of this storm. So I keep looking down the garden to see that I haven't lost this pane out of the greenhouse. But it's not very nice being in storms. But I'm so lucky because we have 3 different warnings now. So we have a yellow warning, which means that there could be disruption. We then have an amber warning, which we very rarely get where I am, but you do along the sort of the coastline. And then for the first time, this Storm Darragh, we've had a red warning. And the red warning is for parts of Wales and down right along the coastline. And that is danger to life. And they were sending out, emergency messages and things for people to stay inside. So if any of my subscribers are in that awful part of Wales and parts of Ireland and things that have been hit really heavily, they probably have been without power. And they might not even be back on now. So if you've had something like that, do let me know. Do give a comment in the description, because I think everybody would love to hear of how you managed to cope and if you were all right. And whether they've been saying on the news about an emergency kit, that everybody should have an emergency kit in their house in case they go without power for several days and things. and you're supposed to have things like some form of lighting, so a torch or a battery light or candles or things like that. You need to have some emergency sort of foods that you don't have to use electricity or heat a kettle or use the kitchen and things, gas or electric, which would be down. I've never done one of those, but it certainly sort of makes you think with the amount of winds we're having. And I know that I've got lots of you from all the way around the world. So do let me know if you're in an area that has storms or hurricanes or severe weather of one way or the other, or severe heat. Because it'd be interesting to hear. As I said, we're part of a community here, and it's rather nice to have lots of people within the community commenting, and I've noticed since I've started doing this Life with Jane, so I'm sitting talking to you a lot more, that I've had lots of comments from people, and my recipes went down really well. My first one for the soda bread, even though the camera angle, I showed it to my youngest son and he was like, "Mum, you can't see what they're doing." And I said, well, it's very difficult, the angle I had, but I've now put my tripod up out of sort of a cupboard in an angle, so it actually shows over the top of what I'm cooking. And this Friday we're doing a cheese-topped vegetable cottage pie. And I'm saying cottage pie loosely because, as I say in the video, there's you can have cottage pie and you can have shepherd's pie. And people quite often say, what's the difference between a cottage pie and a shepherd's pie? Well, cottage pie traditionally is made with minced beef. So that's the cottage pie. So it's minced beef with some diced vegetables and things in it, and then a topping of mashed potato. A shepherd's pie is done with, because shepherds looked after sheep, so it's done with lamb mince. So exactly the same thing, but you have lamb mince and then your vegetables and then your cooked all up together, and then your mashed potato on top. I'm doing one which is a very economical one, because in this day and age there's a lot of people that don't eat meat or don't eat a lot of meat, and don't eat sort of mince, which is more not necessarily a processed meat, but it is it's all sort of it's all the offcuts, as it were, put through as minced meat. And I know a lot of people are into healthier eating. I must admit I eat very little meat. I won't say that I don't eat meat and I'm a complete vegetarian, because if I go round to one of the family and they've cooked a roast dinner or they've cooked something, then I will eat it then. I just don't always buy in meat myself. I'm quite happy to use vegetables, and then I use things like lentils and whatever that give that sort of substantial-ness to the food. So this is a very economical one, as in I've worked it out. I think it's about 68p a portion, which is very economical, so way less than £1. So if you're on a budget and you're looking to have a meal that's not going to cost the earth, if you're on your own like me, it makes at least 6 portions. So what you can do is keep a couple of portions to eat for a couple of nights, and then put the others in little freezing boxes and put them in the freezer, and then you've got a warm meal during the winter. Because I think, again, we're coming into winter time, and winter time is not the nicest time, because we don't tend to get out into the garden as much. We don't tend to walk as much because there's far more rain and wind and cold. And then if we have the ice and the snow, we don't like going out in the ice and snow because it's slippery. I've got a couple of poles with spikes in the end, so if it's very icy and slippery, I can use those, and I've got some shoe spikes that you put onto your boots that have got spikes in to help, because I don't want to fall and break something and end up in hospital. So, you know, I'm quite careful. Thankfully, I live in the southeast of England, as I've said, so I get very little snow. Everywhere else will get snow normally before I do. So I'm quite grateful for that, because I don't like the snow. But getting out in the winter and, you know, keeping ourselves busy, I think, is quite important. What do I do to keep myself busy in the winter months? Well, I'm quite lucky because I volunteer a couple of days a week at my local charity shop. So I get out and I meet people and do that a couple of times a week, which I really enjoy. I love the people that are there, and I love you know, the community that's there as well, the customers that come in all the time, and it's a really nice place to work. I also go to a craft cafe, so I like knitting and sewing and you know, needlework and cross stitch and all sorts of different things that I do. And so I take a piece and everybody else takes a piece of whatever they're working on, and we meet once a week as a group, which is lovely. In fact, a couple of my subscribers on here are from that group, and they're always sort of saying how much they enjoy my videos, and that I'm changing it. So I'm very grateful for that as well, which is nice. So those are the things that I go out and do. If I'm indoors, I will always have something to do. So always some piece of crafting, or yeah, any form of crafting. And I know that, you know, the people that have been with me for a long time with my Crafting with Jane are wanting to see crafting as well. So one of the videos this week, I think it'll probably be the Wednesday one, will be a wreath. And it's not a Christmas wreath as such. It's just a wreath that you can do with a lot of things that you've got about. So I'm just going to show you a finished one that I did a while ago. So let me just show you this. Okay, so this is the wreath that I've done, which you can see it's really, really soft. So this was done with actually an old silk dress that again it came into the charity shop, and it was torn and ripped and was something that we couldn't use. But I thought, you know what, I can cut that into strips, and I really love the colours of this. It's got, if I show you close up, it's got sort of lovely sort of reds and things, and I hope you can sort of see how soft it is. So it makes a really beautiful full looking wreath. And what you need to make one of these this is the one that I'm going to show you, is just a round metal hoop. So if you've got a round metal hoop hanging around, if you haven't, you can actually use a wire coat hanger. And if you stretch it round something that is circular, so that you get it as circular as you can get it, because if you see this is the one that I have, you don't want it so that it's all sort of misshapen. You want it so that it's nice and circular. These sorts of things you can pick up. I got this one from Hobbycraft, and they sell them at packs of 3. So this is the largest size. There's in a medium size, which is this one that I've done this one with, and then there is a smaller size. So you get 3 of those, and I think they're about £3.50, £3.75, not very expensive at all. So if you fancy having a go at doing making a wreath, get yourself a metal hoop and some scraps of fabric. So I've got let me show you what I've got that we're going to be using. So these are little just strips of fabric. That's sort of like a bit of a silky one. That's a little bit of a patterned one. and that's just a more of a sort of a satiny type one. Really doesn't matter. You just need to cut them into strips. You're going to tell me how long the strips are going to be. Let me have a look at my span of my hand, and you want them about 7 or 8 inches long. So if you want to have a go at making that, join me on Wednesday. All the videos are going to be going out at 7 o'clock in the evening UK time, which means that people can watch them in the evening and then make them during the week or whatever. So hope to see you on Wednesday. Hope to see you on Friday for Foodie Friday and for our cheesy vegetable cottage pie. And have a good week, and see you again next week. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.